So today we are taking a look at the Titania fighter from the Unmatched games. So Titania is from the Slings and Arrows set, which features William Shakespeare and 3 of his creations, Titania, along with Hamlet and the Wayward Sisters. So Titania and her sidekick Oberon are from the play A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of the comedies. So it's interesting to see a Shakespearean comedy represented in this set. She is the queen of the fairy people. And of course, Oberon is her king. And Oberon, this guy's got quite a look, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. But the play starts off with the two of them kind of separated and not quite hanging out with each other anymore. She has forsworn his bed and company. And we go through quite a... but we have quite a number of comedic things going on where a few of those silly little fool mortals get involved. And yeah, this whole story gets pretty humorous and crazy. Titania is a ranged fighter because she has that fairy magic. She has a health of 12. She has a health of 12, and that is the lowest health for a single hero outside of Deadpool. She does have some healing and stuff to help with that, but that is a really low health at 12. She has a move of 2. Her sidekick Oberon has a health of 6. Her ability is Fairy Magic. If you do not have a face-up glamour at the start of your turn, flip the top card of your glamour deck face up. Its effect is ongoing while it remains face up. So you're basically going to start the game with your glamour deck, which are going to be these little cards here. So you start the game with none of them up. So you actually start the game with no ability. It would be your turn when you flip that up. So if it's your opponent's turn, they could come in and hit you while you don't have a glamour up and while you don't have an ability. So let's take a look at these glamours here because they are going to be important. Glamour of Greed. At the end of your turn, you may draw 1 card. That is a may, so it's not a mandatory. Glamour of Sleep. Your fighters do not take damage other than combat damage. Congratulations, you're Khonshu. Glamour of Love. When you maneuver, you may move an opposing fighter 1 space before moving your fighters. That is a new effect that we haven't seen before and a pretty powerful one. Glamour of Rhyme. After you play a scheme, gain 1 action. So all of your schemes can be played for free. Glamour of Invisibility. Your fighters may move through opposing fighters. Congratulations, you're Buffy. And lastly, Glamour of Jealousy. When Titania or Oberon are attacked, before playing a card, they may swap spaces. If they do, your other fighter is now the defender. So these are really some pretty good abilities here that you get with these glamours. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different glamours. You will have card effects that will have you discard glamours. You'll discard a glamour. And you do not, when you discard a glamour, you do not instantly flip up and reveal a new one because you reveal a new glamour at the start of your turn if there's not one revealed already. Also, once you run out of glamours, the glamours are gone. Now, there are some ways to get a discarded glamour back into your glamour deck. But outside of that, once your glamours are gone, your glamours are gone. So very interesting that we've got a fighter who's going to be essentially changing their ability because each of these glamours is a different, unique ability. So let's take a look at the deck here. We're going to start off with some of Titania's cards here. Queen of the Fairies, an attack of 2. During combat, Increase the value of this card by +1 for each glamour in your glamour discard pile. Well, there are 6 glamours, so late game, this thing could like ramp up to an 8. So late in the game, you probably want to be, if you're playing against Titania, you probably want to hold on to some feints for later in the game, because this is just a 2. So if you manage to feint it late game, save yourself a whole lot of trouble. But a dream. This is a defense of 0. Ooh, defense of 0. But it is immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card, ignore its value, and return it to your opponent's hand. Draw 1 card. So basically just like, nope, I don't want to play against that card right now. Just you take that back, stick it in your hand. That effect isn't happening. You do draw 1 card, so you do get another card in your hand. This is not a getting rid of it, because it's going to come back again. But it's just to get it back in their hand. You are kind of giving your opponent a pass doing that, so it's something to think about. The Moon Looks Down, a versatile of 3. Put a discarded glamour on the bottom of your glamour deck. So that's the way for some of these glamours, once they have been discarded, to go back into your glamour deck again so that you can reuse it. It puts it on the bottom, and that's things to think about there. As Wise as Beautiful. I love this artwork because if you're familiar with the play, this is pretty great. Although that is a much better donkey looking head than I saw in the production that I watched. Versatile of 2, As Wise as Beautiful. Draw 1 card. You may discard your glamour to draw 2 cards instead. So that's one way to get rid of a glamour right there that will take a glamour off of it. You can either do that just to get the cards. Maybe you don't want to use the glamour that's on there anymore. Maybe you're wanting to get later into the game and ramp up Queen of the Fairies. Momentary Glance. This is right out of Medusa's deck. Deal 2 damage to any fighter in Titania's zone. They did slightly reword this just to make it a little less wordy and make it more like the current sets, because Momentary Glance was from the first set that they ever printed. I think that Medusa's was deal 2 damage to any one fighter in Titania's zone. The implication here is still the same. They just changed the wording ever so slightly, but it's the same thing. Deals 2 damage to any fighter in Titania's zone. So that can be pretty rough. But paired with Glamour of Rhyme, after you play a scheme, gain an action, it's basically 2 damage and you get your action back. So it's just 2 damage and then keep on going. It's not even slowing you down. Very interesting. All right, getting into Oberon's cards. We have Met by Moonlight. Now, the original quote from the play is ill met by moonlight, which has a little bit different connotation than this, but still a nice card. I like the artwork that goes with it there. An attack of 5. After combat, place Oberon in a space adjacent to Titania. So basically, you can send in Oberon to attack, have him throw this 5 at attack, and then bug on out of there. Just hit with a 5 and then leave. That's pretty good. An Oberon scheme here. What fools these mortals be. I believe that is a quote from Puck in that play. Choose an opponent. Look at their hand and choose a card. They shuffle that card into their deck. So once again, they're not really getting rid of it. It's just putting it back in their hand. You could also, pair this with a Glamour of Rhyme, and once again, do this as a free action where you get to look at their hand, get 1 card out of their hand, and then still have your actions to attack them. So, pretty good. Getting into our innies now. Protection of the Fairy Woods. This is a defense of 2. Immediately, you may discard your glamour. If you do, cancel all effects on your opponent's card. Okay, so this is kind of a weaker feint because it's defensive only, and you have to discard your glamour to get that cancel on it. Now you can look and see if you want to cancel before you do it. So there is that, but it's actually a weaker feint. Whisked away. Versatile of 4. Move a fighter up to 2 spaces. You may discard your glamour. If you do, place your fighter in any space. So you can basically just move out of there a couple spaces. It's kind of like a skirmish that lets you move your fighter without having to win. You can discard a glamour and put your fighter in any space. So it does cost you a glamour, but it does cycle a different one up there. And like I said, for some cards, you may want to be able to get rid of a particular glamour. So that's a way to do it. Fairy Song, versatile of 3. You may discard your glamour. If you do, the value of this card is 5 instead. So this is kind of like a shift here. Kind of like a glamour discard shift. You discard your glamour, you can make this a 5. Parting Gift. Versatile of 2. After combat, you may deal 2 damage to each fighter in the combat. That's not really a gift. That's it's like 2 damage. But if you find that Glamour of Sleep, the Khonshu glamour, your fighters do not take damage other than combat damage. Kind of the same thing that's going on with Moon Knight's a totally same thing to do. You won't take the damage if you're on Glamour of Sleep when you do that. And lastly, we're going to get into another scheme here. Gift of the Fair Folk. Choose 2 different effects. I love these. Choose 2 different effects. 1 fighter recovers 2 health. Draw 2 cards. Move 2 fighters up to 2 spaces each. So it lets you recover health, draw some cards, and move up. Okay, so again, with Glamour of Rhyme, you got all these here. The Momentary Glance, What Fools These Mortals Be, and Gift of the Fair Folk, where you can do all these and also not spend an action on it. So you could heal or draw cards and move for free. That's really kind of crazy. Another thing to think about here that I didn't talk about, Glamour of Sleep. Your fighters do not take damage other than combat damage. Okay, so that's going to be any type of other damage. Okay, that's going to be damage from schemes, damage from card effects, like your wily fighting, or something like Momentary Glance. If a Medusa was to throw that at you, you wouldn't take the damage while you have Glamour of Sleep. It will discount things from abilities, so like Dracula, Medusa, and Tesla cannot deal the damage to you. It also includes things like exhaustion damage. So, if you could get Glamour of Sleep on the bottom of your deck, and then manage to keep it down there when you go into exhaustion, you can play a really good exhaustion game because Titania and Oberon will end up not taking damage while they're exhausting, and so they can just kind of run around forever. So that is an interesting thing that you can do. It takes some work to pull it off, but it is a pretty powerful thing potentially. And these glamours that, managing the glamours is going to be a big part of your deck there, that you're going to need to be able to get these at the times that you need them and know how to take advantage of them. I mean, like, moving an opposing fighter one space before moving your fighters as a ranged fighter, that is really good. Of course, the free action on the schemes. Moving through opposing fighters can be good situationally. Glamour of Jealousy, being able to switch out Titania and Oberon when they're attacked, can let you basically have Oberon body block for Titania, because they can go up to hit Titania and you switch out with Oberon. Or if you think Oberon's about to die and he hasn't played his big attacks yet, you can switch Titania in for him. Drawing a card, because just card draw, keeping up a hand advantage is always good. And of course, the Glamour of Sleep is good for many, many things, especially that exhaustion game there at the end. Managing the glamours, knowing when to get them out at the right times is going to be the fun part of this one. I think she's going to be a very powerful character that will just take some work to get her figured out and working, but she can be really powerful. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. You can go down into the comments section and leave any comments down there that you have. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure to catch all the videos that I post so you do not miss anything. I'm Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and we'll see you around next time.